Changing Opportunities, the Switch Now podcast. Hello, Ross Watchman here, and welcome to the Switch Now podcast, a chance for you to find out how we work here at Switch Now. And in this edition, we're going to be focusing on one of our key topics, that is job coaching. And later on, we're going to be talking to Switch Now job coaches Ian and Nicola to find out more about what the role of a job coach is. And we're going to also meet a couple of our co-workers like Adam, who is doing a work placement at Hinchingbrook Hospital. But first, we're going to meet Tom, who is doing a placement on the East Coast Main Line at stations such as Hitchin and Huntingdon. And we begin by meeting him and his then work buddy Ben at Hitchin.
You're listening to the Switch Now podcast.
So here we are now at Hitchin Station, and we welcome to the podcast Tom, one of our co-workers who is doing some work experience here, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah.
Let me start by asking, how do you feel after your first week working here at Hitchin?
Very proud of myself.
So you should be. What challenges have you faced so far, and if any, how did you cope with them?
Meeting the new staff, learning the station layout, the timetable, how to dispatch trains.
What are your highlights at present, if any?
I'd have to say using the announcing on the loudspeaker. So I announce over the speaker like the train arriving, where it's going to, and the invaluable information to the passengers.
Before I came here this morning, I thought it was someone tucked away in a small room with a microphone doing all the announcements, but no, it's like that. What role have you identified as your current favourite and the one you'd most like to do if the position arose?
I'd have to say what Ben is doing now, a platform assistant.
Okay. Finally, how would you describe your dealings with members of the public?
Very positive. I've actually helped someone in a wheelchair get onto a train safely using an accessible ramp.
That's really great to hear. Tom will speak to you again. We'll come and catch up with you in the new year. Let me speak to Ben now, who's been working with you. Ben, how do you think Tom's getting on?
Tom's getting on exceptionally well here. He certainly learnt the role quicker than I thought he would, so I'm really proud of him.
What area has he so far excelled in?
Tom has certainly excelled in the announcement, information, and is certainly willing to give everything a go, which I'm very proud of.
What is your perception of how Tom has dealt with members of the public?
Tom will give all the information, every single route that they want to take, so that is something I love seeing.
Of course. Tell me about the plans you have for Tom in the weeks to come.
Wednesday is going to be very interesting. Tom is going to lead the whole day for me tomorrow. I'm going to be his apprentice. He's going to tell me everything I want to know tomorrow. And Thursday, it's Tom Day. He picks what he'd like to do.
So, finally, at this point, where would you most see Tom working best in the organisation?
I think Tom will be very good on the platform and certainly in a control point manner as well, in the control centre.
Great. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
And that's exactly what we did. A few months later, I went back to meet Tom, who was then working at Huntingdon Station. Welcome, everyone, to a rather breezy Huntingdon Station. And we're going to catch up with Tom, who we met last year. Hello again, Tom.
Hello.
Good to see you. Since we spoke last year, what have you been doing in your work placement?
Been at different stations around the Great Northern Network.
Have you faced any new challenges at all?
A couple of new challenges. Say learning how to dispatch certain trains.
You've also been to work at other stations, Huntingdon included. What differences have you seen?
Well, some stations are busier than others. Some stations have more platforms than others.
Now restrictions on COVID have begun to lift. Have you seen a change in the number of passengers?
A little increase, but not quite as busy as it was before COVID.
Since we last met, have you in any way had a change of thought about what role you'd like to do as a full-time job?
Still working in the rail industry.
As?
Hopefully a train driver.
Oh, great. So you've gone from wanting to work as a kind of a platform assistant to being a train driver. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
How have you felt with working different hours? I know you've been getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning on some occasions.
It's been a different experience.
Yeah, I bet. Finally, any new highlights at all?
Well, next week I'm going to King's Lynn Station, which is also known as the Queen's Station.
Oh, great. So are you going to be doing kind of a platform assistant there?
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. Thank you very much. It's good to see you again. And we'll probably catch up again before long. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. See you soon.
Well, now, let's get a different perspective on how Tom is doing on the railway with Sean, who is the station manager here at Hitchin. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Ross. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Let's get to know a bit about you first of all. How long have you been here at Hitchin Station, and how did you come to be station manager here?
I've been working at Hitchin Station now for about 13 years. I started off working on the gate line in revenue. I was in that area for about 7 to 8 years, and then I started checking tickets on a train. And then about 2.5 years ago, I decided to apply for a station manager's role, and I did, and I was successful, luckily. So I've been a station manager here now for 2.5 years, and I've always worked at Hitchin. When on the trains, we got to travel around a bit, but yeah, Hitchin, I know it very well, and yeah, I really enjoy being the manager here.
How can someone get a job at the station, and what experience would they need?
In terms of getting the job, they can create an account with GTR, so they can go onto our website at greatnorthernrail.com or thamesinkrail.com. They could create their own account, and then they get to also choose what type of work they'd like to do. So if it was engineering or if it was customer service, they can then create alerts that will get sent to them, so they're then aware of what the roles are that are available. They can also come down and speak to those that are on the station and ask a manager if they're available, if there's any jobs coming up, but they would need to apply online. In terms of experience, what I'm looking for is I always like someone that is a bit different. Like they're going to offer that different service to our customers and have a real good interest in the railway. Me, myself, I only had work experience behind me. I didn't do very well at school or college. So for me, I think it's an open book with what you can bring. Everyone's individual and everyone's unique in their own way. And I think it's, bringing that into the railway is really, really good.
How can people get in touch if they want to work with the railway industry?
So they can go online, they can check on our websites, and they can go on the contact us page and send an email to our customer relations department, or they can, like I said, create an account and have an alert system for any vacancies, or they can go to the local station, go and speak to the station team. The people that are on the gate line or in the booking office, they can also advise, and if, like I say, if they're lucky enough, I manage 6 stations, so I'm not always based here, but they can always ask to speak to the manager or a team leader, who can point them in the same direction but also build up that relationship already.
Let's talk about Tom now. How much has Tom come on from your point of view?
For me personally, knowing Tom at the start of his journey when he joined here at GTR, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's a totally different person. I feel he's not only learned what he wanted to, he's taken on additional roles and really made them his own. Every time you see him on a station, I think the first thing that everyone always says is how he has a roving mic in his hand. And it's easy now to sit here and talk about that. But at the beginning, Tom was like any of us. He was a little bit nervous to remember all of the stations on the route and what station comes first. But now he's really taken it on his own. He's become a part of the team. Everyone knows who he is. They expect him here at certain times. Me, myself, I expect him here and treat him no different. And it's a real pleasure to see that he's enjoying himself. But also, he's got a better experience than what most staff do because he's had the option to go into different roles whilst here. So I know that in my area, he's experienced revenue on the gate line, he's been with our passenger host teams at Cambridge, and then he's worked on the platforms at King's Lynn, Hitchin and Huntingdon, along with Stevenage, to say a few, which not everyone gets the opportunity to do. And the fact that he's gone to those stations and he's left such a strong positive vibe with the management team and the station team is a real credit to himself.
And finally, what has it been like for other staff at the station to work with Tom?
I would say, speaking on their behalf, it's been eye-opening. I think knowing Tom's background, or knowing a part of his background, people can sometimes jump to conclusions, or they can already make an assumption about someone. But they really, really appreciate the help, knowing that he's here on the station. He's able to make all the announcements. He's able to assist them with posters, which then gives them an opportunity to do other roles on the station. And they've got the confidence that he'll do it really well, which he does. So I think, like I said before, they see him as a part of the team, treat him no different to anyone else. He's been part of the lunch runs, he's been part of the morning breakfast teams, and they thoroughly enjoy having him and question when he's not here.
Sean, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Sean, station manager at Hitchin, thank you for talking to us on the Switch Now podcast.
Thank you, Ross. Pleasure to meet you too.
Let's talk to Darren right now, and he is, shall we say, Tom's main buddy when he works at Hitchin Station, aren't you, Darren?
I've become very, very attached with Tom, yeah. I'm the one that looks out for him.
So, firstly, what has Tom been like to work with?
Tom's been great. We've had no problems whatsoever. He's really fitted in at Hitchin. I think more at Hitchin than any other station. He just gets on with everybody here. We don't have to tell him what to do. Not now. He just turns up, does what he does. He knows where everything is and how we work at Hitchin. So, yeah, no, Tom's been great.
So how far has he progressed?
Massively. Oh, my God. So, when he first arrived, he worked with Ben, another platform staff here, for a couple of days. Tom was mega quiet. Really, really shy, really, really quiet. Because of his autism as well, he didn't want to face people. And you had to keep trying to get his attention to keep him interested. But now he's completely different. Helping customers out, telling them what trains they go on, helping us with assists. Talking to complete strangers, which is probably really hard for him to do. But no, he's smashing it now. He's really good at it.
Where do you see him working best in the industry?
Definitely on the platforms. Yeah, customer service, customer focused, giving people information about their journeys, what are the best routes to take, his announcements. He loves doing all the announcements and everything like that. Yeah, he's become really customer focused. So I'd definitely say platform, not hidden away or anything like that. He likes to be surrounded by everybody, which again, from when he first came here, completely different now.
What has been your highlight working with Tom?
Working with someone with autism, I have trained a couple of they were on school work experience, and they had autism as well, but they were only here for a few days, whereas Tom's been here over a month, maybe 2 months or so. We've been able to get involved and understand his autism a lot more than the others because we spend so much time with Tom now. We don't really take too much notice of Tom's autism now. At the beginning, we were all very aware that we didn't want to make Tom feel awkward because he had autism, but it was actually the other way round. We were the awkward ones and Tom didn't have a problem with it. But yeah, it took a little while for us to realise that. But yeah, no, just seeing him come out of his shell has been a highlight. He's completely so different now. Completely different.
And finally, how do you think Tom has dealt with members of the public?
Yeah, great. If people are asking about their journeys, where's the best station to change at, what time does the train get into Peterborough or King's Cross, do they need to change for the underground, then Tom will know his train stuff. So yeah, he's a lot more face-to-face than what he used to be. He didn't used to be, but now he's got no problem. If you say Tom and ask him a question, he'll turn round and he'll answer it. He'll help you out.
Darren, it's been great to meet you.
And you, it's been a pleasure.
And thank you for talking to us on the podcast. Thanks again to Tom's main work buddy Darren and station manager Sean, and we wish Tom the best of luck for possibly getting a job. Now, another co-worker who is doing a work placement is Adam, and he is at Hinchingbrook Hospital. And before we meet him, we're going to meet Joe, who is the volunteer coordinator, and Chris, who was actually helped by Switch Now 4 years ago to secure a job placement there, and now he is Adam's main work buddy. So here I am now at Hinchingbrooke Hospital, and Adam is one of our co-workers. He works here on a placement. We're going to be talking to him in a little bit, but first let's meet Joe, who is the volunteer coordinator here at Hinchingbrooke, aren't you, Joe?
Good morning, Ross. That's correct. Lovely to meet you, and thank you for coming in this morning.
Pleasure to meet you. So first of all, how did you get to your present role here at Hinchingbrooke?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think I fell into the role by chance, but that was the best thing that ever happened because this is the best job I've ever had. I've worked for the NHS for 11 years. 3 of those years have been in this role.
So what does your role involve?
So it's supporting members of the local community in finding engaging and rewarding voluntary positions within the hospital. So we start with the application form and then we mentor the new volunteers through their journey with regular one-to-one catch-ups so that they're happy, supported and engaged and enjoying their positions.
Let's talk about Adam now. From your point of view, how do you think Adam is getting on?
Adam is fantastic. So as you know, he joined us from your organisation and he started, I would say he was quite nervous, a little bit apprehensive, but with some very, very concise coaching from his co-worker Chris and myself and Nicola. He's come on in leaps and bounds and he's very confident now. He can work alone. He's engaged with his visitors to the desk and he's taken on more and more additional roles to support me in the office as well. So from my point of view, he is flying.
That's great to know. So finally, for people listening who may want to help out here, how can they get in touch with you and what prior experience, if any, would they need to have?
That's a good question. So anybody who's interested in volunteering at the hospital can just go onto the website, onto the hospital website. There's a section that says Join Us. There's a section within there called Volunteering and they can apply online. If online isn't for you, then you can just contact me and we can send out a paper application form. No previous experience required. You just need a big heart and a lot of time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.
So now let's meet Chris, who is Adam's main work buddy here at Hinchingbrooke, aren't you, Chris?
I am, yes.
And you were also helped, like Adam, through Switch Now to get where you are.
Yeah, 4 years ago they helped me get this placement.
So what has Adam been like to work with then?
He's been interesting. He has worked really well, especially through the pandemic. He's coped really well with the change of situations, and he's also, now actually flourished rather than having to keep going back and forth. So yeah, he's doing really well at the minute.
That's great to know. And how well do you think Adam has interacted with members of the public?
Yeah, he has his good days, his bad days, as we all do. We did get him to start wearing a sunflower lanyard, but I don't think he wears it anymore. But the members of the public were taking longer for him to process stuff when he was wearing it than when he's not. They get quite frustrated because they're here for an appointment that might not be good for them, and they've come and asked a question and, they don't take the time to let him process it all and then tell them where it is, so they'll come over to me rather than Adam. So I try and point them back into the direction of Adam to try and build his confidence a bit more.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in all you do and thank you for talking to me on the podcast today.
No problem, thank you.
So here we are now with Adam. Good morning.
Morning, Ross.
Good to meet you. So, are you enjoying your work placement here at the hospital?
Yes, I am enjoying my role placement here at the hospital. I enjoy all the aspects of my role. as I'm a people person, I enjoy meeting lots of new people.
So, could you explain what your role is here?
My role here is to take people to where they have to be so that they aren't late for their appointment, and during lockdown I'll take their relatives' belongings up to the various wards as they weren't allowed.
What highlights have you had so far, if any?
My highlights over the last year and a half are getting positive feedback from the patients that I have taken to where they need to go, as that puts a smile on my face and knowing that I can do a good job.
How well do you think you've interacted with members of the public?
I think I've interacted with the public pretty well. As I said in my previous answer, I know that I am in the right role, as I have a passion for this role.
How much have things changed here over the last year with the COVID situation?
The things that have changed in the hospital are the one-way system in the corridors, and that we have to wear face masks. Also, we have to keep 2 metres apart and wear hand sanitizer at all times.
And finally, do you see yourself working here in the future?
Yes, I do see myself working here in the future, whilst looking for a full-time job alongside my volunteering role.
Well, good luck with all of that, and we wish you well, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again, probably before long. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Ross.
Good to meet you. On the next edition of the Switch Now podcast, we're going to be visiting the allotment, which is just down the road from our Eton-Soken base, and we're going to meet Claire, who will take us on a tour of our site there. That and much more next time on the Switch Now podcast. So let's get more about what a job coach is and what they do, and to help us explore that, our Switch Now job coaches, Nicola and Ian. Welcome both.
Welcome.
Hello.
So how long have you both been with Switch Now?
So I've been with Switch just over 3 years now.
And the same for me, 3 years this month.
So what is the role of a job coach?
So the role of a job coach is to work alongside somebody that needs some additional support to get them into employment or to be a part of a work placement trial or volunteering placement. It's about working and getting to know that person as an individual, knowing their skills and knowing the areas that they may struggle with, and how we can then work with them and the employer or whoever they're placed with, so we can work all together and get them their most successful placement.
Yeah, sorry, I'd agree with Nicola on that. It's not so much just the individual and getting to know them, it's also the places that they're going to go out to work, to speak to the management team or whoever they're going to be reporting into, and building up that relationship between the two parties. And then we can effectively not step back, but then we watch from afar or offer the support on the spot if that's what we need to do. But that's the most important thing. It's the matching up of the skill set. Do you agree?
Yes.
The skill set between the two. And all the other factors that come into it, the social part of it, the travelling, all the rest of it, it's all got to be factored into that role.
So how did you first become a job coach?
So my background has always been working in disabilities and with people with additional needs. I previously worked in the education sector, and I've worked in the social care sector as well. And then I became a job coach approximately 7 years ago now.
Myself, sort of qualified by experience, as you might say, working, learning a lot from Nicola since I joined Switch. I was part of the emergency services for 17 years before that. A lot of that was involved in training as well. So it's along those lines that I brought that skill set into here.
So who have you helped reach employment?
We work alongside a number of our co-workers and our previous co-workers. We've also had people that have been referred to us that needed our specific support to get them into an employment option, which can include working within the voluntary sector.
So finally, for people listening who may be considering their next move, which may be Switch Now, what can you offer for them?
So specifically around job coaching, we can offer them a bespoke program for that individual that involves us getting to know that person, their skills that they've already got, giving them opportunities to try out different work placement options, which may not be options that they've thought of doing in the past, but could actually bring out skills that they've already got or skills that they need to work on, working at that person's own pace. So that could be working with them for a short period of time, or it could be working with them over a year period, hopefully with the aim of moving them on to employment.
Yeah, because ultimately that's what we're looking for. You know, people want to be out there working. They've got to have that drive and that motivation to want to work in order for us to help them. But if they come to us, they are going to get that personalised experience. We completely focus on them and their future and within the type of employers they want to work with. So, yeah, it's a win-win.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.
Switch Now job coaches Ian and Nicola. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Switch Now podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back again next time. The Switch Now podcast was presented by Ross Watchman, compiled and produced by Ross Watchman and Sean Mardlin.